More than 125 Polk County Democrats gathered at the Cub Club to welcome Congressman Eric Swalwell back to Iowa. The congressman was born in Iowa, but represents California's East Bay in Congress. A few local officials warmed up the crowd for the congressman.
So one, there's a couple reasons why we have you here today. Is that, again, we are going forward, and I just want to make a little quick comment on the going forward part and some of the things that we've seen the last few days. And that is, I'm not a paid protester, but I'm upset, and my anger is for free.
First of all, I want everyone in this room to always remember and to remind people that when we work together, government can actually help make life better for people, and don't let them convince you otherwise. Because what Republicans like to do is say that government doesn't work and then go out and prove it, right? And that's not what Democrats are about. Democrats are about having government be a partner and help families and communities and states in our country and our world become better. That's what Democrats believe in. And I'm going to tell you what, the problems in our economy are not that the snowplow operators out who are going to be out tonight are making too much money or have too good of benefits. That's not the problem. The problem in our economy is all of the wealth is going to the richest billionaires in our country. And that is wrong. Des Moines area Democrats, or whatever you call yourself as a group. We need to reach out to everybody in this county and this state. We need to listen. We need to educate, we need to unite, we need to uplift, we need to organize, we need to build our list, we need to speak up, we need to raise our money, and we need to build the big tidal wave that's going to sweep back in 2018 so we can take back the Iowa House, we can take back the Iowa Senate, we take back the governor's seat, we take back Congress, we take back the United States Senate. And in 2020, we're not going to let that man ruin our country and our democracy, and we take back the presidency. Let's do it together. Let's do it together. Thank you so much.
But guess what? When we had 26,000 people for the Women's March here last month, we had 1,000 people in Decorah, right? And so guess what? We're going to be heard. And if we continue to organize, and we continue to spread the word about how our values in Iowa are under attack, 18 is going to be a change election. And it's going to be an election where we restore our values, we value hard work, we value helping people who are struggling, right? And that's what this is about. And we are all in position to fight. And that's what we're going to do. And it starts today. Thank you all.
It doesn't matter who you caucused for, we're all in the same room together. The day after the election, after the crying, well, which is still going on because this has been the longest month, it was a really hard moment because I wasn't thinking about the loss at the top of the ticket. I was thinking about the next generation who was behind us. We failed them. We failed them by electing a man with the possibility of deporting students' parents here in Iowa and in every other state across this country. The kids that we are supposed to protect, our trans students, they are now targeted. High school is hard enough, but when you're a trans student, it's even harder. And this president is bullying them. Tonight, one of the donations is going to Iowa Safe Schools because those kids are going to need us. But I have hope, and I have hope because there are so many young people in this room. I see a lot of high school teachers, I see some students in here, and we will work hard in 2018, and we will make this right. Actually left. So, but the next young man who's going to speak is exactly who we fight for. He has made so many accomplishments in his young years that he's here. He makes us proud, and he makes us going to keep fighting. And so all of you who I haven't met before, I want to meet you, and I want you to listen to this next young man, because TJ, we will fight for you.
You're far too kind. Good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here with all of you. My name is TJ Foley. I'm a senior in high school, and like many of my peers, I'm looking forward to graduation. And I know that in a few short months, the homework will end. My teachers, some of which are here tonight, will dismiss their classes for the final time, and I'll receive my diploma with my classmates to the tune of pomp and circumstance. But after this moment ends, my classmates and I will set our sights on the future, and will begin a new chapter in our lives. We frequently ask ourselves as high school students and as young people what that chapter will contain. Will we inherit an Iowa and a United States with a growing middle class and a high quality of life? Or will we receive a state and nation that is plagued by dwindling opportunities and by income inequality? In the coming months, we will begin to find our answer. Now, there is no doubt that there are challenges to Iowa's future. Climate change is a growing threat to our planet and our security. Our workers are being increasingly neglected by those in power. And education is continually underfunded, and teachers, many of whom are in this room, are being more and more underappreciated. These are just some of the many obstacles that stand in the path of a more prosperous and better United States of America and Iowa. And we must respond by harnessing the power of the strongest office our democracy has to offer. That office is one that we all hold: citizen. We must mobilize people of all backgrounds, of all walks of life, to fulfill their civic duty of democratic participation. And I don't mean just by showing up at the polls. I mean marching in the streets. I mean calling your congressman, emailing your legislators, and making your voice heard. That's what we have to do. We'll encourage them to speak out against legislation that moves Iowa and the United States back, and stand up and speak out in favor of legislation that moves us further in the 21st century. Now, these fights won't be easy, and we'll lose a few, as we have already. But the lessons of the past are on our side. Because since the beginning of our nation, when times got rough, those who wanted to preserve the opportunities and the potential of America summoned the power of grassroots democracy and turned the arc of history towards the hope of a better day. I'm confident that in the end, we will triumph over the challenges that we face. And that is the reason why I'm confident that as a state and a nation, our best days are ahead. It's because of groups like this and people like you, both elected officials and just regular, ordinary people, who showed up tonight, maybe showed up last week at the marches or at the hearings, and who continually fight for the idea of a better tomorrow. That is why we will end up winning this fight. And that is why I'm confident that coming 2018, the tidal wave that Senator Hogue is talking about is coming to Iowa, even if we're landlocked.
I tell a story about my daughter, Maggie. I have 3 kids. Charlie's 15, Maggie's 12, and Buck is 9. And the day after the election, Maggie was in her classroom, and a little girl looked at her and said, "I'm so glad the election is over. We can all go back to getting along again." And Maggie looked at her and said, "Are you kidding me? The campaign was just the trailer. We've got a 4-year movie to sit through." That was a really good way of putting it. So right now we're in the midst of the movie. And another ounce of good news that I can give you, I have never seen Iowans more engaged in my career up there. On the Senate File 2, when they were trying to tear apart the Family Planning Network, I had over 1,500 emails on that bill alone. 500 women came up to the State House to speak up, and it hasn't stopped collective bargaining. We've had just a ton of people getting engaged. So we need to keep the momentum. with us. It's not just happening here on the state level, it's happening on the federal level, which is why we're so happy to have Eric Swalwell with us tonight.
Yeah, I actually just came here to audition to be in TJ's cabinet. Iowa Democrats, do you feel helpless?
No.
Are we helpless?
No.
We're not helpless. We are not helpless. And what I have found is that in this darkness, in this gloom that hangs over our country, we actually have a big blank canvas. And right now, we have the opportunity to use all of our hands, with all of our hearts, to create a portrait that gives people more opportunity, more equality, and more security. I went to the inauguration just about a month ago. I sat up there as a member of the House leadership team, sat there as a check on the president so he knew that we were watching, and that Congress, despite his lack of understanding of civics, was a co-equal branch of government. But I also rushed to the airport as soon as I could. And I'll be honest, that day sucked. That day really sucked. And I was sitting at the airport, and as I was feeling really down about the future of our country, what lifted me up was watching hundreds of people come out of different gates, women marching, wearing those really cool pink hats, determined the next day to march on Washington. And I know you marched on Des Moines, we marched in San Francisco, and across the country, we all marched. And so what I believe we have to do next is first, we have to unite. Unite, unite, unite. We have to unite around our values, whether it's at marches, whether it's at town halls, whether it's at the airports to welcome new refugees and new immigrants who will become new Americans, whether it's at phone banks to call our representatives. We have to first unite. But we also have to resist. We have to resist. And it's very American to resist anything that is un-American. And when I say resist, I don't just mean the wall that the president is suggesting we build on our southern border. And he wants to build a wall. And is that an American value, to build a wall to divide us from a southern ally? No. That's not an American value, that's not an Iowa value. But I'm also worried about the other walls that the president wants to build. The invisible walls. So when this president tries to build a wall between a woman and her right to make a decision about her own health care, we must resist. When this president tries to build a wall between all of us and the freedom to be healthy and to take away the Affordable Care Act, we must resist. When this president tries to build a wall between a parent and affordable housing benefits that they need to reinforce what their kids are learning in the classroom, we must resist. When this president tries to build a wall between a worker and their right to organize, we must resist. And when this president tries to build a wall between the questions we all have about his personal, financial, and campaign relationships to Russia and the truth, we must resist. So when you put all of that together, we cannot allow a single wall to be built that separates us from getting to the bottom of those questions and defining the truth. We must resist. We unite, we resist, and finally, we must reclaim this great country of ours that continues to aspire to give as much opportunity, equality, and security to the American people. Unite, resist, reclaim. So here's how we're going to do it. Here's how I see us doing it. And you're already doing it, and you're already inspiring all of us with what you've done in your marches and your protests. But we have to make sure that all of those streams continue to flow to the same place, the ballot box.